When the facts bend reality, this is beyond plausible.
What you're about to hear was the last transmission ever recorded from Millhaven, Ohio. Officer Miller's voice, captured in that final moment, wasn't just reporting an emergency. It was the sound of a man confronting something that defied every law of our reality. Listen closely to the static between his words. That metallic, electric hum you hear? Every recording device within a 10-mile radius of the town center captured that same frequency. But here's what makes this case different from every other missing persons report you've ever heard. The 412 residents of Millhaven didn't vanish. They're still there, every last one of them. You can see them through the windows, sitting at dinner tables, watching television, lying in bed, perfectly preserved, like specimens in amber. But here's the part that will haunt your dreams. They're all looking in the same direction. Every single one, staring at something only they can see. And whatever they're looking at, it's still there with them, waiting. The coordinates were verified, but the landscape refused to comply. Where the target should have been, only a silent basin remained. The air itself felt heavy and damp, carrying the faint, metallic scent of ozone. It was simply gone, replaced by nothing but the valley and its cold, clinging mist. Imagine waking to find your entire hometown had been erased from the map for a full day. The air carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone and something else, something old and forgotten. Then, in a silent time-lapse, the town simply vanished, leaving only blank earth behind. No buildings, no roads, just an empty scar on the land where a community once lived. What if, when it returned, you alone retained the memory of its absence? From 0:30 to 3 o'clock, we lay the foundation of our story. The footage shifts to golden-hued home videos, children on bicycles, a backyard barbecue, laughter. This is Millhaven, population 417, a quiet pocket of middle America, where everyone knows your name, your business, and what you ordered at Diner 66 on Tuesday. For Sarah Miller, it was home, a safe, predictable loop of teaching third grade Friday night beers at the Hollow Oak with her brother Mike, and checking in on her increasingly reclusive grandfather, Walter. The strangeness began, as strangeness often does, with something small. Walter called Sarah late one Tuesday. His voice was thin, like static on a phone line. "The birds are wrong, Sarah. They're perched on the lines, silent, just watching." Deputy Mike later recounted the peculiar calls that flooded dispatch. Not emergencies, but a growing chorus of bewildered voices. The air in the station grew thick, with the scent of ozone and a creeping, unnamed dread. A farmer swore the access road to his south field had shifted overnight, while a woman insisted the old willow by the creek was now a pine, and had always been a pine. It was dismissed as collective fatigue, a strange weather pattern, maybe a prank. But Sarah felt it, a creeping unease, like the air itself had grown heavy with wrongness. The air thickened with an oppressive weight, charged like the moment before lightning strikes. In the gaps between breaths, a profound stillness settled, as deep and absolute as the quiet at the bottom of a well. Then, the warmth bled from the world, the color leaching away into colder, more alien hues. A faint, metallic scent of ozone touched the air, and the skin prickled with a sudden, inexplicable damp chill. Then came the fog. Not a natural fog. It rolled in at 3:17 p.m., a solid wall of pearl gray that swallowed the sun. It didn't drift. It settled, like a heavy blanket smothering the world. The air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and something metallic, like old pennies. And with it, the world softened. Outside, a dense, silent fog crept across the playground, swallowing swings and slides whole. The children's laughter first muffled, then ceased entirely, leaving only the damp chill of the air. Then, all at once, cell service died. Landlines emitted a hollow, echoing tone. Radios crackled with nothing but static white noise. For Sarah, trapped within the school, the most unnerving part was the light itself. It had become a flat, sourceless twilight, casting no shadows anywhere. Day and night had bled into one another, leaving only a perpetual, suffocating gray. Mike's body cam footage shows him advancing down Main Street, the fog so thick it felt like wading through cold, damp cotton. He raised his flashlight, but the beam refused to pierce the gloom. It merely painted the swirling mist before him. The air carried a faint, metallic scent, like ozone after a storm, mixed with the distant, sweet decay of forgotten things. In the distance, a humanoid shape moved with a stuttering, stop-motion shuffle. its gate all wrong. Mike's voiceover came as a strained whisper. "Base, this is Unit 7. I see someone." He called out, "Hey, can you hear me?" The words hanging in the damp, metallic air. The figure turned. The face was a blurred, smeared distortion, like wet paint on a canvas. It made no sound. Mike stumbled backward, a cold, damp dread seizing his muscles. Then he ran, the sharp scent of ozone and old rot clinging to the air behind him. He found Sarah at the school, her own fear a palpable weight in the stale silence. Together, they approached Walter's remote cabin on the town's edge. The old man waited inside, a shotgun resting across his knees, showing no surprise at their arrival. In the faint light, strange symbols and hand-drawn maps covered the parchment before him. Walter's voice was rough with certainty as he stated, "It's not a storm." He spoke of the town's original name, forgotten even by the archives, Silent Haven. He muttered about stones placed by the first settlers not to keep something out, but to keep something in. It's a fold. Reality's worn thin here. Always has been. They're just pressing through the weak spot. Sarah's trembling thumb mashed redial again and again, the phone screen glowing like a sickly beacon in the dark. Finally, a connection. The tinny, digital ringtone cut through the oppressive quiet, each chime a hollow promise. It rang once, the sound sharp and metallic, then again, stretching the silence taut, and it kept ringing, an unanswered plea echoing into a void that offered no reply. The robotic operator's cheerful reply was a gut punch. Quote, "Thank you for calling the Ohio Department of Transportation. Your location, Millhaven, is not found in our directory." She stared at the receiver, the words hanging in the air like a physical weight. A metallic taste of ozone and cold dread filled her mouth as the implications settled. Then, with the precision of a final sentence, the fog that had choked Millhaven for 24 hours dissolved at 3:17 p.m. It didn't fade gradually. The darkness ripped away, like a stage curtain violently torn aside. Daylight hit with the force of a physical blow, searing and absolute. The air, previously still, now carried the sharp scent of ozone and damp earth. Into that sudden brightness, the cheerful trill of birdsong cut through, feeling alien and out of place. The power hummed back on. The town returned to its familiar rhythm, sunlight glinting off storefront windows. But the air carried a faint, metallic scent that hadn't been there before. And in the cheerful chatter, a subtle, wrong note began to resonate. But the footage felt wrong. Too crisp, the colors unnaturally vibrant, like a fever dream. The missing access road had reappeared exactly where the old farmer claimed it once lay, its gravel pale under the sun. The willow tree stood as a willow again, its leaves rustling softly in a breeze that carried the scent of damp earth and ozone. And no one remembered the fog. Not a soul recalled that thick, swallowing mist, as if it had been erased from reality itself. For everyone else, it was just Tuesday, then Wednesday, another ordinary week slipping by. But Sarah's frantic voice cut through the calm. "Mike, you remember. You saw the thing in the street." Mike, however, was at the Hollow Oak, laughing with friends, the memory seemingly erased or buried. The air in the bar felt suddenly thick, carrying the faint, sweet scent of decay beneath the beer and smoke. Mike stared at Sarah, his expression utterly vacant. "The fog? Sarah, you're exhausted. You need rest." There was just a bit of mist, nothing more. His words carried a strange, rehearsed quality, like a recording played back slightly wrong. Even Mike's memories had been systematically altered. Sarah stood utterly alone, a spectral figure haunting her own forgotten town. She was the sole witness to a collective amnesia that had swallowed everyone she knew. Hunched over Walter's papers, the scent of old ink and damp paper filled the stale air. The symbols weren't mere drawings. They were equations, cold and precise maps of unseen dimensional layers. And then she found it, a single handwritten line. "The price of return is a memory. To keep the town, it must forget the fold." Sarah drives to the town limits. She passes the "Welcome to Millhaven" sign. She pivots slowly, the sign now declaring, "Welcome to Silent Haven." The air carries a faint, metallic scent. As she turns back, the letters have shifted once more, now spelling Millhaven again. A sticky dampness clings to her skin, and a distant, rhythmic scratching sound begins to echo from the woods. The reality of the place itself seems to be rewriting itself before her eyes. The air grew frigid, carrying the metallic scent of ozone. The boundary was fragile, unstable. The town wasn't fully returned. It was superimposed, flickering between what once was and what now allowed it to exist. And with a creeping dread that settled in her bones, she understood why her memories remained. The fold didn't take her memory because it needed one anchor, one person to hold the truth so the lie could survive. Now, at dusk, Sarah stands on her grandfather's porch. Walter sits in his rocking chair, utterly still, his gaze locked on the forest. The air carries the scent of damp earth and something faintly metallic as Sarah remains in Millhaven. Her days follow a perfect, predictable rhythm. She grades papers in her sunlit study, a model of normalcy. Yet, as the clock's hands align at 3:17 p.m., she steps into the yard's damp air, and there, she stands utterly still, her head tilted, listening for something only she awaits. Sarah. The birds cease their songs. For a single, suspended moment, the forest holds its breath. In that unnatural quiet, if you strain, you can just make it out. A distant, faint crackle of static, bleeding through the silence. The sound of something pressing against the other side of the sky, waiting for the fold to weaken again. She looks past the camera, her gaze fixed on the distance. A faint, unnatural mist begins to coalesce among the shadowed pines, creeping forward with a damp, ozone-tinged chill. So the question isn't about the town that vanished for a day. The question remains, what price was paid for its return? And what occurs when the sole keeper of that memory finally lets it slip away? The screen pulls back to reveal Millhaven, its picturesque streets now appearing hollow and staged. The image holds, suspended in that unnatural quiet, before the final cut to black. The final sound was the faint, chilling crackle of radio static. Then, it cut to absolute silence. The air grew heavy, thick with the metallic scent of ozone left behind by the transmission. In that profound quiet, the absence of sound felt more menacing than any noise could ever be.